Okay, so it gives me great pleasure to now introduce you to Nicola O'Brien, who's an aesthetic podiatrist who's going to be talking about aesthetic cosmetic foot care.
Lovely. Thank you. Hello. Thank you, everyone. Right, so yeah, I'm Nicola O'Brien. Do excuse me. I do actually use a wheelchair, and so I will be sort of hopping up and down a little bit, so I will sit down occasionally while I'm talking. So do excuse that, because my legs just don't work as well as they used to. But that's one of the reasons why I actually got into aesthetics as a podiatrist. I have a fat metabolism disorder called lipedema, and as you can probably see, my legs are a little bit larger than the average because of this fat metabolism disorder. That gave me a lot of body dysmorphia as I was growing up, because this started when I was about 7, and I didn't actually get diagnosed with what it was. I was just told I was fat, I ate too many pies, it was my own fault, up until about 2014, when I realised actually I hadn't been eating all the pies, it would be my husband that had been eating all the pies, and he's skinny and it's not fair, but he is diabetic, so I've got my own back. So there you go. But because of that, I had this body dysmorphia about how I looked. And I was always concerned about how I looked. I avoided going on holiday to centre parks. And so my family thought I didn't like them because I never go on holiday. I avoided going to beautiful sunny holidays where I really desperately wanted to go to, but I avoided that because I didn't want to get in a swimming costume. I didn't want to walk around with my legs on show. And then as later as the lipedema has progressed, it's progressed now into my upper body and into my arms, and to the point now where I don't want to wear sleeveless tops. So I'm very concerned about how I look and how I appear. Now, that then translated into my patients. So I had an understanding that my patients were not just people, they were people with feelings. They weren't just a pair of feet coming into my clinic. They were people that had desires and that had wants and they had needs and they had emotions. And they would feel embarrassed by a fungal toenail, by a bad looking toenail. And they would tell me that they would avoid going on holiday and that then they would fall out with their family because they had turned down the trip. They would make up excuses and they wouldn't go and do those things. They would actually stop their lifestyle because they felt embarrassed about how their feet looked. And that is what drew me to understand the need. And there is such a massive need out there to understand the sociodynamic need of how people feel about themselves and their emotional well-being. It is just as important as the physical well-being. So let me talk you through this. So what is it? It's an awareness that our clients are concerned with how their feet look and not just how they feel. So it's great, they can come into you and you can take that corner away and you can make their foot feel better, but actually that might not be their main concern. Actually their fungal toenail might be more of a concern to them when you're looking at that fungal nail going, well, that's not going to hurt you, that's not doing anything, it's just a bit cosmetic. But to them, it means the world. And also aesthetic podiatry, aesthetic foot care, I'll use the terms interchangeably. Foot care, podiatry, it all means the same. We're talking, across industry, we're doing this. It can be done by foot health practitioners. It can be done by podiatrists. But what it means is that it's a diversity tool. So in my practice, I had a standard come and come again podiatry clinic. I was turning over about £30,000. This was back in 2012. And then in my first year, I needed to upsell. I needed to earn more. I couldn't do any more hours. I was a single parent and I had a young son who was autistic and he was struggling at school. Now in our village where we lived, there was a little private school, but that was £6,000 a year. I needed to earn an extra £6,000 a year to be able to put him into that school. To get him in for the first term, I sold my car. And then I bought an old banger to run around in for like 200 quid. And I sold my car for £6,000 to pay for that first year to get him in. But I knew ongoing, I needed to find the money to pay for that. How was I going to do that? Do you know what I did? I started painting toenails. For those ladies that came into me who had a fungal nail, who couldn't go to the beautician because beauticians can't treat them, okay, beauticians can't treat fungal nails. They had no one else to go to. They came to me and they said, can you just cover it up? Yes, I can. At the time, I was charging £25 for my routine appointment that time ago. I then charged another £25 to paint the toenails. I doubled my income for an extra 5 to 6 minutes work. So in my first year of taking over that practice, I went from £30,000 cut and come again business. I turned it more into an aesthetics. I doubled my income without doing any more hours. And anybody want to guess how much I turned over in my first year? You can look it up on Companies House, by the way. Anyone have a guess? 68. Just painting toenails. There is money to be made in painting toenails, and you're not ripping off your patients. You are giving them something of a service of a high skill that they need and they want, and they are happy to pay for, because they pay a lot more money to go to a beautician's, but the beauticians can't do it. So we want a high skill treatment with low cost overheads that can be augmented into what we naturally do. And we need to have a universal understanding of our patients' psychological needs and not just the physical ones. Body image is really important. And this is just something I grabbed off the internet. I know she's, the grammar Nazis will go in there and rip her to pieces, but bless her. But people are posting about how they are embarrassed about their feet. And it's not just women. I'd say 40% of the patients I treat for now reconstruction are men, often sent in by their wives and their daughters, because they don't know that this service exists. Once they know it exists, they come in. I've got one retired GP who comes in to me. He spends £150 a month, and he says to me, my wife spends £150 a month on her hair. I can spend £150 a month on my toes, thank you very much. And he goes on lots of cruises, and he says, if I don't have this done, my wife will moan when I'm walking around in my flip-flops. This is his before, and this was him ready to go on his cruise. And you can see the difference and the emotional difference that made to that man who was 94, retired GP, and that made such a difference to his life that he didn't have to worry about it. He didn't have to think about it. We haven't gone for a perfect look. You can see it's not perfect. You don't want perfect. We want it so it doesn't stand out. So why the controversy? And there is controversy. You've all heard the controversy out there. Why is there controversy? Because there's an association perhaps with being beauty and being pedicure, and we're trying to raise above that. We're medical professionals, you know, we're not beauticians, we don't do that. But actually there's nothing wrong with being a beautician. There are some beauticians here today. And the beauty industry has really high standards. They have really high quality. You can go to level 7 to master's degree in doing aesthetics and beauty treatments. So we really misunderstand the beauty, and there's actually nothing wrong with being associated with the beauty industry. And we also have a bit of a professional identity crisis. Am I a foot health practitioner, a foot health person? Am I a podiatrist, a chiropodist? You know, we seem to always have that bit of identity crisis. So bringing in another identity seemed to kind of jitter a little bit into the profession. But if you consider dentists, if you went to the dentist and he said to you, I'm sorry, madam, but I'm only going to give you those nice black fillings in there. Nowadays, what would you say to him? You say, oh, sorry, I'm going to go down to the road to the dentist. I'm going to pay £400 more, and I'm going to have some nice white ones. Thank you very much. Because it's available. Nobody turns around and says that's wrong for doing aesthetics. Dentistry was born on aesthetics, on having teeth look nice. Emma, bless her, is a wonderful podiatrist, and I know her professionally. I had a talk with her some years ago, and she said, it is a highly political area. Our colleagues feel that it demeans and belittles our medical professionalism. However, the dentists, surgeons, optometrists, they all get it. Why don't we? The evidence is there that it really has health impacts to make people feel emotionally better about themselves. It improves self-esteem. But yet we don't get it. And if we don't do it, where are they going to go? They're going to go to the dirty nail bars and salons, because there are ropey nail bars and salons out there who won't follow professional standards and not treating fungal nails, and then they will cross-contaminate people. So many people were skeptical about the whole idea of nail reconstruction. If you put the nail reconstruction over a fungal nail, that's just going to fungate it. Not with modern products. Old-fashioned products that are acrylic-based, yes. Modern gel products, no. And we misunderstand the beauty world, as I say. They have a higher qualification sometimes than some of us. But nail techs and beauticians aren't allowed to treat fungal nails. So once we've got our clients and they paid for us to manage their fungal nail, dystrophic nails, and you know, they want to have it covered up, they said, well, yes, you've drilled it all down, but it still looks a bit ucky. If we don't treat them, we force them to go to the chop shops. We force them to have a substandard service. So actually, by not having these kind of services to offer your clients, you're actually doing your clients a disservice. And if you're not doing it, your competitor down the road, they might well be doing it and taking your patient from you. So let's make a change. And what made the big change was the medical model of aesthetic technique. Because before, when you think of the beauticians, how do they use nail polish? Open the bottle, take it out, dip it back in again. Who's been to the beauticians? Who's had a manicure, nail polish? We don't double dip, and that was what made the difference. There was no standardization in our industry for a medical model of aseptic technique where we didn't double dip and we didn't cross-contaminate, and we used single-use products and we decanted our products before using onto the patient. So I wrote one, 2005, I made a medical model for our industry. And then that was when we started getting taken seriously. So using your medical model of single-use instruments, little tiny micro brushes, little brushes that you can just throw away, and we brought in the no dip and redip, and that is our gold standard. We decant everything and we have a gold standard. So a medical model of application. Again, people would question it, and people still out there in the industry say, you don't need to worry about, double dipping, it's fine, there's no cross-contamination. Nothing can live in the paint or the gel. No, it can't live in the paint or the gel, but it can live in the micro space between the gel and the top of the lid. Because we know this, in the paint industry, spend billions, ICI spend billions in decontamination of their processes when they're making paint. Paint is paint, whether you're sticking it on the floorboards, or you're sticking it on your skirting board, or you're sticking it on your toe. Paint is paint. It all comes from the same kind of product line, okay? If you then have a pot, you open your pot, nothing can live in the paint, but that gap between the paint and the lid, there's an air gap there. Bacteria and fungus gets there. If we've drilled down a fungally crumbly nail, and then we take the brush and we put the brush from the paint onto that fungally crumbly nail, that's going to take microscopic amounts of yeah, it's already swelling in the face. That's going to pull micro amounts of fungally crumbly nail that's going to stick to the brush. You can't even see it. Even if you try and wipe it, you put that back in the pot, that fungally crumbly crud goes blop, 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 blop onto the top, and it sits on that surface layer. So the next time you pull the brush out, that nicely sticks to the brush and then goes on to the next client. We don't want to be doing that. So for a little bit of extra product, which is very cheap in the beauty industry, a lot of the products are very cheap to get hold of, very low overheads, we can give this extra increased satisfaction to our clients, which makes them more loyal, that makes them recommend us, and it means that they're willing to pay more for our services. So I admit it, I paint toenails. It was considered the dark arts for a long time, and often this was the response I would get. Yeah, 5 years ago, I went to a conference. I had people who said, I'm going to get a cup of coffee. I don't want to go to her talk. One of my friends said, I'll buy you a beer if you do go, and then at least if you listen, you can slag it off online afterwards. Those two people then came to me and said, I need you to teach us this. And that was how I started teaching it. Because I had taught it, nobody else was teaching it, I was just talking about it and telling people to upskill. They came to me and said, we're going to come to your clinic and you're going to teach us next weekend, and we're going to pay you a lot of money to do that. And they've been doing it ever since. And this is how the courses came about. So it's a Marmite thing. You're going to love it or hate it. It's going to be for you or it's not going to be for you. But if you're not so much into the MSK, if you're not so much into some of the other things, if you don't do nail surgery and things like this, this can be a real winner and a money spinner for your clinic. Now, how many people here think that they can paint a toenail? Got what? Oh, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, how many people here can enucleate a corn and cut a nail? Everybody. Okay, if you have the hand-eye coordination to cut a nail and nucleate a corn, you have the hand-eye coordination to paint a toenail. I'm telling you now, it is just another skill. The first time you ever picked up a pair of nippers and went, oh my God, it's like, oh, Mrs. Brown's toenail, I'm going to make it bleed. You know, it's exactly the same thing with the first time you pick up a paintbrush. It's a skill you can learn, and I promise you, anybody can do it. So we have more than one type of problem nail. What do we do in aesthetics? Oh, you know, I might not be able to help that one. That's a bit out. But what we can do is use products like PediSafe. PediSafe is one that I use and I endorse, and I'm a trainer for it. There are other products out there that I have taught and I'm a trainer for as well. But this is the main one we tend to use these days. It's a Canadian product. It was first produced in 2017. It's a very, very simple thing to use. It's a UV cured gel that goes on and it can rebuild a nail. So I will show you the type of nails we can do. So pretty much everything, you know, ceramic nails, thickened nails, split nails. When you've had to dig out a nail to get to a subungual corn, you can then replace the nail over the top of it to protect it. It can be combined with laser treatments as well, because the laser will go through it. And it's great for onychocryptosis, so for involuted nails, and we can also use it now as a bracing product, and we've adapted it to do pedi bracing as well. It only need, for an actual nail reconstruction, you only need 10% of residual nail. So you can cut off all the bad nail and then rebuild, and they will last 6 to 8 weeks. You can also make a complete bespoke prosthetic nail for somebody that has no nails at all. So the best way to show you is give you some pictures. Here's somebody that came in. This was actually a guy who was going on holiday. There's his holiday toe. And another one, that's the other foot. Then we have one that's almost no nail there. And then we have a little bit of residual nail we can build onto. Again, almost no nail, and we can build back on. This one is a great one. This was a nice fungal nail, and we can also combine it with a fungal nail treatment because they can use either Clenacept or Lamisil spray while the nail's growing out, and it protects the nail bed. The weight of the nail, the microns of weight on the nail, tends to help the nail reattach the nail bed as it grows through. That nail would be wearing a recon on there probably for about 18 months, having that replaced every 6 to 8 weeks until the nail grows through. Again, somebody's had an injury. That was a tin of baked beans that landed on somebody's toe, and then they were getting married. And so we needed to do a reconstruct immediately. So we burred off all the nail, and then we did a recon immediately. She then was able to go to the beautician to have her hands and nails painted. So we built it so they can then go to the beautician. I have ladies that come to me who go to a spa, and they're ladies at lunch, because I'm in Frinton-on-Sea, you know, you have to say it with a posh voice, Frinton-on-Sea. And in Frinton-on-Sea, when you're inside the gates, you have to be inside the railway line to be in Frinton-on-Sea. The ladies who lunch and they go to the spa. I have 3 ladies who go to the spa. They all come to me to have nail recons made like this, because they have dodgy nails. None of them know that the other one comes to me because of patient confidentiality. And then they all go to Champney Spa in Chelmsford, and they all have pedicures, and they all sit around in that big open pedicure place with them all having done while they're having a glass of wine and Prosecco. And none of them know, because they just go and say, oh, don't worry about cutting and filing it, dear, just paint over it. And there's 3 of them, and they all go together. And it's really funny, because occasionally I go down to the pub with them, and none of them know that the others have all got fake toenails. And again, if we want to then carry on with our aesthetics, we can do the rebuild. You can see that we've been rebuilding here, and then we've just finished off with a nice colour on top. So again, we can finish and make it look really nice. Toenail painting. We can do simple toenail painting. As I said, that was the first thing that elevated my practice and doubled my income. And there are lots of really good products out there now. Again, there's this mythology that runs because paint is bad for your nails, so the nails need to breathe. No, nails don't have lungs. Just there's a bit of CPD there. Nails don't have lungs, they don't need to breathe. It's perfectly fine to use modern products. Modern products are really safe. They don't contain the harsh chemicals that used to damage and erode the nails back in the day. And also, a lot of them out there now have antifungal properties. Now, there are some that claim to be antifungal and have fungicide. They don't really, but they tend to make an inhospitable environment for fungus to thrive. And when it's put on correctly and taken off correctly by yourselves, then it doesn't cause extra fungation and often will allow the nail to grow through healthy. So we can add a coloured gel or polish and a bit of sparkle. So even if we've built a nail and it's a bit wibbly wobbly and it's a bit lumpy, because we'll have some nails that are a bit lumpy, we can just use a bit of glitter, because a bit of glitter just reflects the light. So from 5 foot away, nobody's going to notice. Unless they're actually going to do a Sarah Ferguson and have a toe job, nobody's actually going to be looking that close. So we don't actually have to be that perfect with it. And a bit of glitter will cover up anything. And the patients love it. Also, we're in a recession at the moment. This is a slide from a recession from back in 2010. We had that big recession back then. That red line, okay, the blue line is general grocery sales, all other general grocery sales. That red line, that's nail polish. Why did nail polish go up in a recession? Why was that a massive seller? Because people couldn't go on holiday. They couldn't go to the spa. They couldn't go and have those treatments. But if they're coming in to have their foot care is something they will still pay for. And if they're then sticking an extra 25, 35, 65 pounds on their treatment, it's medical. They need it for a medical reason. That's why they can justify it even in a recession. And also, you can just have it on your stand. If you've got a little clinic, just have some with you. Okay, so just have some in your room available to you that you can sell to your patient, because if they can't go anywhere, they can't go on holiday, they feel like they've been on holiday because they can whack a bit of toenail paint on themselves. And there's loads of products out there. We can also then do pedicures, aesthetic foot care, medical pedicure, medi-pedi, whatever you want to call it. You can call it Dave, you know, it doesn't matter what you call it, but you can just do a little bit of soak. You can, dermatonics out there, they have a lovely pedicure kit you can do with a soak and a scrub, and it's lovely. But whatever you do with your soaks and your scrubs, make sure you always do it from the same range and have the same smells, because otherwise it smells a bit odd if you're doing 20 different smells. It just doesn't work. But just that little bit of extra luxury, people are happy to almost pay for more, often pay more than double for a treatment cost that you're charging now. We also have warm wax therapy. Again, if you want to come out and play, we have a pot outside. Sorry for those at home, can't help you with the pot. But if you want to come out and play, you see, you should have come. But you can come outside and come and play with the pot, and you can come and have a dip and play with the warm wax. Again, it's a really nice treatment you can do, and there's lots of different ways you can use it. It goes across all of the groups of patients that you'll see. So it will, it will go across all the different types of patients that you see. So cosmetic podiatry goes from your younger ones, your middle-aged ones, and your older patients. Even your older patients, your older ladies, will actually want to feel a little bit feminine. They missed out on that because they were like young girls during the war. They didn't get a chance to do that. Then they had families. And then they got old, and then their husbands died, and they're on their own, but they still want to feel a little bit feminine, and they might want to have a little bit of paint on, and they might want that service you can provide them. So with this little pick and mix of a toolbox of aesthetics, you can increase your client base because you're bringing people that wouldn't normally have associated coming to you, and you can give them an enhanced service. That's good for your patients, it's good for you. It's a win-win. So in real terms, what does this mean for your clinic? Let me show you very quickly. If we've got an example of a routine patient paying £30, we'll just do an example of £30. That patient, you see him every 6 weeks, okay? That's 8.66 contacts with a revenue of £259, £260 a year. A routine patient doesn't earn you money, and it's not going to pay your pension. Over a 5-year lifetime, which is the average lifetime that we see a patient, that will earn you £1,200. But if all of a sudden you do a routine every 6 weeks, but you put a warm wax in every other treatment to help with their callus, an extra £40, just for example, all of a sudden that routine treatment becomes 70 quid. That then makes them £420 a year. And over a 5-year lifetime, oops, sorry about that, hang on. It's cutting out quickly, I do apologise. But over a 5-year lifetime, all of a sudden, that is getting them to £1,000 more. Example 2, your routine appointment, £20. Your cost, they're going to be extra thing on there, say you pay hang on, so a routine appointment is £30, so you just paint them and just charge them an extra 20, you're getting £50. That over your year is then going to give you £400 instead of £250. Over a 5-year lifetime, that's £2,000 from your £1,200. A routine plus a medical pedicure every time, say £60, now you're getting into the £500 for the year. Over a year, you're getting to nearly £3,000. That's an average of £1,500 extra. And now we're going to go for a routine reconstruction. So that's now going to be £320 with a revenue over the year of £579. That over a lifetime is going to give you an extra £2,899. Your routine converted to a reconstruction, say paying 110, I actually charge about 150 now for my reconstructions. Over a year, that's an extra revenue of 600. And then over the lifetime, I don't know why that's not working. I do apologise. It's not holding there. But over the lifetime, that's 3,300. So with some simple up marketing, some innovative techniques, inexpensive products, and some high level skill from you, that's all it needs is you to upskill a little bit, you can seriously increase your wealth. Over a 5-year period, you could potentially convert a £1,200 patient to a £3,300 patient with the extra add-ons. And all you have to do is to increase that revenue. That is over a 5-year period, that's £2,000. If you do that for just one client a month, for 12 months over a year, that's an increase of £24,000 revenue to your clinic. One client a month. Over, I don't know why that's like, I do apologise, but over the lifetime, over the 5 years, if you do that for the 12 clients a month, that will give you an extra £126,000. That will help you retire. That will help you not retire poor. So you're increasing your business revenue, increasing your profitability, and increasing your own self-esteem. And of course, there's a multitude of other interesting products and that will complement what you're doing. So you can have other retail products, you can get nail polishes in. You know, people are going to the high street to buy this. You know, we have the slide up there with that big upturn in sale of nail polish. Don't let them go and buy it from Boots, let them buy it from you and let them buy a better product from you. There are lots of products out there that are endorsed by like the American Podiatry Association, for example. They're very foot related, foot focused. Focus them to your patients. They'll be quite happy. And if you've got a bit of space and you're already painting the toenails, sell them some flip-flops, you know. Why not? We have flip-flops in our clinic. We have Aussie soles. I have Aussie soles here. I'm based Aussie soles. Can I have some more pairs of soles? Aussie soles. And disclaimer, there is nothing in our code of conduct in RCOP, IOCP or SMAE or any other societies that states you cannot perform aesthetic treatments. As long as that cosmetic aesthetic treatment you have been trained correctly, you are using it correctly, and it is covered by your insurance. If your insurance doesn't cover it, most of them do now, but if it doesn't cover it, a simple beauty industry product will do. You can go and spend about £60 to £100 and just have a beauty top-up. Nope. It's not for everyone. However, it is just one of a number of ways that you can diversify your practice and become more professional and have a better income stream. If your competitors, have they spotted that gap in the market? Are they going to be doing it? You could be losing to them. So in conclusion, you have brains in your head and you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You are on your own and you know what you know, and you are the one who'll decide where to go. Thank you very much for listening.